dated, and strong emotional storytelling the audience. We'll stay interested. The black royal car moved quietly through London's busy streets. No photographers followed. No reporters knew about this visit. It was a secret journey. Inside the car, Prince William and Princess Kate sat close together. Kate held the letter from the nurse, reading it again. Even though she knew each word by heart, she could not stop reading it. Every time she saw the words, "Emma's dream is to meet a real prince and princess," tears came to her eyes. William looked over at Kate. He gently placed his hand on hers. He could see her heart was full of emotion. His was too. This was no official royal visit. There would be no speeches, no cameras. They were going as William and Kate, two people who wanted to help a little girl. They had told the hospital very little. Only the hospital director and head of security knew they were coming. Even the nurses on the ward did not know. It had to be a surprise. Earlier that morning, Kate had spent an hour choosing gifts. She packed beautiful storybooks, soft teddy bears, and art supplies. But her most special choice was the small silver tiara that had once belonged to Princess Diana. William had also written a personal letter for Emma. In it, he called her a true princess, not because of crowns or castles, but because of her kind and brave heart. He signed it with his name and added drawings of hearts and crowns. As they neared the hospital, William asked the driver to stop. He wanted to buy fresh flowers for the children. At a small flower shop, William chose bright yellow flowers to bring sunshine to the hospital rooms. The shop owner could hardly believe her eyes when she saw the prince in her store. Back in the car, William and Kate sat quietly. The city passed by outside. Both were thinking about the little girl they were going to meet at the hospital nurse. Jennifer was working her usual shift. She didn't know that her letter had reached the royal family. She had no idea that her simple hope would soon bring joy to the entire ward. Upstairs, Emma was in her room coloring a new picture. She was drawing a tall castle with flags. She wore her plastic tiara, a little crooked on her head. Emma did not know that the prince and princess she dreamed about were already on their way. The royal car pulled up at a side entrance. Away from public view, William and Kate stepped out quietly. No grand entrance, no photographers, just two people with gifts and flowers in their arms. They took the elevator to the 4th floor. As the doors opened, they entered a world very different from the palace. A world of bright walls, nurses in cheerful clothes, and the sounds of children. Dr. Sarah Mitchell met them at the nurses' station. She was shocked. She had been told to expect important visitors, but never imagined it would be the prince and princess. Themselves, Kate smiled and whispered, "We don't want any fuss. We're here just for the children." Together with Dr. Mitchell, they began walking down the hallway. Each room held a young patient, each with their own story. The first room they entered belonged to a boy named David, recovering from surgery. His eyes grew wide as William and Kate entered. Kate sat beside him, asking about his comic book. William praised him for being so brave. David beamed with pride. Next, they visited twin sisters, Lucy and Emma, not the same Emma. The girls gasped and giggled. "Are we dreaming?" They whispered. Kate laughed gently. "No, you're not dreaming. We came just to see you." Room by room, the prince and princess spread smiles, joy and hope. The nurses watched with tears in their eyes. But one special room waited. Room 204. Inside was the little girl whose letter had brought them here. Emma sat on her bed, drawing, wearing her plastic tiara. She had no idea her biggest dream was about to come true. Outside her door, William and Kate paused. They listened to her soft singing. Both felt their hearts beat faster. William gave Kate's hand a gentle squeeze. It was time. In just a few moments, they would meet the brave little girl who had touched their hearts and would soon touch the hearts of the world. The moment Prince William and Kate appeared and left everyone in tears. Emotional stories. Royal, written in third person, simple and basic English, about 660 words, with strong storytelling that builds curiosity, shock, and touches the heart. Your audience will not get bored. It was a bright Tuesday morning in London. The sun shone over the grand gardens of Kensington Palace. Inside, the palace staff moved through their daily work. In the dining room, silver. Dishes were polished until they sparkled. In the hallways, fresh flowers were being arranged in tall vases. Outside, gardeners trimmed rose bushes with care. Everything seemed normal. But something was different today. The staff could feel it. A strange tension in the air. They whispered to each other in the corridors. At exactly 10:30 a.m., the head secretary, Sarah, received a call that made her heart skip a beat. It was Prince William. His voice was calm, but filled with deep emotion. "Cancel all appointments today," he said softly. "Kate and I must go somewhere right away." Sarah had worked for the royal family for 15 years, but never had she heard the prince sound like this. Within minutes, the palace buzzed with activity. The Prince and Princess Kate had cleared their entire day. They would not be attending the charity luncheon at noon, nor would they meet the Prime Minister that afternoon. The guards were called urgently. An unscheduled trip was being planned to St. Mary's Children's Hospital in central London. But why? No one knew. It was not on the official calendar. The royal staff looked at each other with wide eyes. Something important was happening, but what? Meanwhile, in their private apartment, Prince William paced back and forth. His face was pale. Kate sat on the sofa, holding a letter. Her eyes were red. It was clear she had been crying. The letter had arrived that morning, written on plain notebook paper, in careful handwriting.
Nice.
It came from a young nurse named Jennifer at the Children's Hospital. The letter told the story of a little girl named Emma, just 7 years old. Emma was very sick. She had cancer and had been in the hospital for many weeks. Her condition was getting worse. Emma loved fairy tales and princesses. Her hospital room was covered with drawings of castles and magical lands. She wore a plastic tiara every day. But Emma had one special dream. She wanted to meet a real prince and princess before it was too late. The doctors had told Emma's family she didn't have much time left. The nurse, with hope in her heart, had written to the royal family, not knowing if her letter would even be read. Now Kate and William had read it, and they both knew what they must do. Without hesitation, William called to cancel their public schedule. No meeting or event mattered more than this. The staff hurried to prepare. The royal car was made ready. Gifts were gathered, storybooks, toys, teddy bears, and placed in the car. Kate also picked something very special. From the palace collection, she chose a small silver tiara. It had once belonged to Princess Diana. It sparkled like stars. By 11:15 a.m., the royal car was ready. William and Kate walked quickly to the palace entrance. Their faces showed sadness, but also determination. The black car left the palace. Moving quietly through the streets of London, no one knew where they were going. Inside the car, William held Kate's hand. She gripped the letter tightly, so they both felt nervous and emotional. They didn't know what they would find. But one thing was certain. They had to be there for Emma, back at the palace. The staff stood at the windows, watching the car disappear into the city. A feeling filled the air. Something important, something extraordinary was about to happen. No. One could guess that in just a few hours, this quiet journey would touch hearts around the world and leave everyone in tears. Prince William and Princess Kate stood quietly outside room 204. Through the small window, they could see Emma. She sat up in bed, her small figure surrounded by drawings of castles and princesses. Her plastic tiara was on her head, slightly crooked. She was coloring carefully, her little hands moving with care. They could also hear her soft singing, a gentle song about princesses and magical kingdoms. Kate's eyes filled with emotion. William squeezed her hand gently. They both knew this was the moment that mattered most. Kate took a deep breath and gave a small knock on the door. "Come in," Emma called in her tiny voice. William pushed the door open, and he and Kate stepped inside. For a moment, the room fell silent. Emma's crayon slipped from her fingers. Her eyes went wide with shock. Her small mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stared in disbelief. It was as if her dream had suddenly come to life. Prince William smiled softly and walked toward her. Kate followed, holding a bag of gifts. "Hello, Emma," William said gently. "We heard there is a very special princess here." Emma gasped and covered her face with her hands. Tears filled her eyes, but these were happy tears. Kate sat beside her on the bed. "We came just for you, Emma," she said. "We've heard so much about your bravery." Slowly, Emma lowered her hands. Her cheeks were pink with excitement. "Are you really Prince William and Princess Kate?" she whispered. William laughed softly. "Yes, Emma, we are. And today, we wanted to meet the bravest princess in London." Emma's whole face lit up. Her eyes sparkled with joy. Kate gently asked, "Can you show us your beautiful drawings?" Suddenly, Emma forgot her shyness. She began explaining each picture on the wall, drawings of castles, kind princesses, and magical lands. She spoke with such excitement that even the nurses watching at the door had tears in their eyes. William listened closely to every word. "You have such an amazing imagination, Emma," he said. "Your stories bring happiness to everyone." Then came the most special moment of all. Kate reached into her bag and carefully pulled out a small box. Inside was the beautiful silver tiara. Once worn by Princess Diana, it sparkled in the soft hospital light. Kate leaned close to Emma. "This tiara belonged to someone very special, and today she would want you to have it." Emma gasped. Her tiny hands trembled as Kate carefully removed the plastic tiara and gently placed the real silver one on her head. The weight of the real tiara felt different. It felt magical. Emma touched it gently. Her eyes filled with tears again. "I feel like a real princess now," she whispered. Kate smiled warmly. "Emma, you have always been a real princess because of your brave heart." William knelt beside her bed and showed her the personal letter he had written. He read it out loud. "Dear Emma, you are one of the bravest and kindest princesses we have ever known. A true hero does not need a castle, only a heart full of hope." Emma listened carefully, her heart full of happiness. Then she showed William. And Kate, her favorite drawing, a hospital that looked like a castle, where all children felt safe and happy. Kate looked at the picture with tears in her eyes. "This is the most beautiful drawing I've ever seen," she said. For the first time in months, Emma forgot about her illness. The room felt filled with love, kindness, and joy. Outside the door, Nurse Jennifer watched with tears streaming down her face. Her letter had brought this moment to life, a moment no one would ever forget. In room 204, the air felt magical. Emma sat proudly on her hospital bed, wearing the sparkling silver tiara. Her tiny fingers kept touching the crystals, as if to be sure it was real. Across from her sat Princess Kate, smiling warmly. Prince William knelt beside the bed, still holding the letter he had read aloud. For a little while it was as if the hospital walls disappeared. There were no beeping machines, no doctors or nurses rushing in. It was just a little girl and her. Royal visitors lost in a moment of happiness. Emma began to talk about her dream, how she wished to one day visit a real palace and ride horses like the princesses in her books. William listened closely. "You have a very kind heart, Emma," he said. "Yeah, that makes you the best kind of princess." Then Kate opened her bag again. "We brought a few things for your friends here," she said. She handed Emma a bundle of colorful books, teddy bears, and art supplies. "We thought the other children might enjoy these too. Maybe you can share with them." Emma nodded eagerly. "I can be the princess of the ward," she said, giggling. Kate laughed gently. "You already are." Meanwhile, just outside the room, nurses and doctors had gathered quietly. Nurse Jennifer, the one who had written the letter, stood in the back, her eyes wet with tears. She could not believe that this moment was really happening, that her simple letter had reached two of the most important people in the country, one by one. The children from other rooms peeked in, whispered and pointed, seeing that something very special was happening. William noticed and smiled. He stood and walked to the hallway. "Why don't we all visit together?" he suggested. Soon, a small group of children, some holding 4 poles, some in wheelchairs, gathered in Emma's room. Kate stood and greeted each child warmly. "It's so nice to meet you all," she said. Emma, still glowing with joy, proudly introduced her friends to the prince and princess. For the next hour, William and Kate talked, listened, and laughed with the children. They signed drawings and books. William even read one of the fairy tale stories out loud, his calm voice filling the room. The nurses could hardly believe what they were seeing. The hospital, usually a place of worry, was now full of smiles and laughter. When it was time to leave, Kate turned to Emma. "Thank you for letting us visit, Princess Emma," she said. "You are an inspiration to us," William added. "You have shown us what real courage looks like. We will always remember today." Emma hugged them both, her tiny arms reaching around their necks. "Thank you for making my dream come true," she whispered. Tears filled Kate's eyes. She kissed Emma's forehead gently. William smiled and touched Emma's shoulder softly. Then, with one last wave to the children and nurses, William and Kate quietly left room 204. As they walked down the hallway, there was no press, no photographers, just a hallway full of grateful hospital staff and children waving goodbye. Outside, in the royal car, Kate wiped her eyes. "That was the most important visit we've ever done," she said softly. William nodded.
"Ain't that?"
"Little girl has more courage than many adults," he said. "Today reminded me why we do what we do." Back inside the hospital, Emma lay in bed, her silver tiara still on her head. She hugged her new teddy bear tightly. Her heart was full of happiness. For the first time in weeks, she felt strong, like a true princess. And though no one knew it yet, this small act of kindness would soon be shared across the world, touching millions of hearts and reminding everyone of the true power of hope and love.